Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And in this video, I'm going to break down TOS or ThinkorSwim and give you guys some good tips and tricks that might shorten the learning curve, that will give you a couple shortcuts to save some time when navigating through the platform. It's a very complex yet very simple and has a very user-friendly interface, but when you're first starting off with this program, it may seem confusing because you don't know where certain things are. Now, first thing I have to say also is that I use ThinkorSwim mainly for charting. Now, the order executions with this platform are not the best with TD Ameritrade. Very laggy using this platform, order execution wise with your fill prices and stuff like that. But for charting, in my opinion, ThinkorSwim is the best platform. Very user friendly. It has a good interface, very easy to understand, very easy to read, and they have some very good tools that a normal trader should use in their arsenal. Now, before we get into the first tip, if you guys enjoy this video or learn anything from it, please smash that like button, subscribe to my channel for more videos, and also I'm going to link my Instagram in the description below. Definitely worth a follow, 100%. I post trade recaps on a daily basis, and I post good tips and tricks with options trading. Now, the first tip is this little sidebar right here that you could expand on ThinkorSwim. Some might have it expanded already, some you might have to expand. So it's a little sidebar here on the left of the screen. You click this arrow and it's going to bring you up with this sidebar, and there are a lot of little gadgets that you can use, and it's very helpful to keep on your screen. The first one I want to talk about is the watch list feature. So first off, you might not have any gadgets here. What you have to do is either hit the plus button on the bottom of the screen, and you could select a gadget to add to this watch list or add to the sidebar. And in this case, you could add a watch list. So what the watch list is going to bring up is that it's going to show you this little gadget up here. It says watch list, and you could link it to whatever you want. You know, you want to link it to the percent gainers. You want to link it to the top 10 losses on the NASDAQ. You could filter it to whatever you want, or you can create personal watch lists. So what I have here is a personal watch list, and I could select any stock, any option, and I could add it to this watch list. If I want to add Amazon, for example, I could add Amazon here. Now, the good part about this is that you can have this linked. Now, with ThinkorSwim, you can link different charts and you can link different tabs. So with one click of a button, it's going to auto-populate whatever chart or whatever tab that you're looking for. In this case, I'm going to link this to number 1 because all of my charts right here, I have 4 charts linked up. They are all linked to the number 1 red feature. So every chart here is linked. All I have to do is click something on my watch list and it auto populates whatever I click to the chart. For example, if I click Apple again, it's going to bring up Apple on all of my screens, and I have different time frames on each of my screens. Now, the next thing here is Trader TV. You could add this here, like I said, on the gadget below. What Trader TV is you could have CNBC, you could have it playing in the background, you can mute it. You could let it play, and it's just something good to have on your screen. So if news drops or if something comes out randomly, you're going to see it on CNBC, which without having to have it on your TV or without having to have it with noise playing in the background. So this is good to have, the watch list, and then also you could have a quick chart here. So I like looking at the S&P 500. Regardless of whatever stocks I'm looking at, but you could have the S&P 500, let's say right here, while we're looking at Apple or Amazon or Boeing on our main screen. So you could see the difference between the two. You could see, if the S&P is strong, you want to make sure that these stocks are also strong with it. So that's linking the watch list. The next tip I want to show you guys is the time and sales window. So on the charts, on every chart you have, you're going to have different features that you could click and add different things to your charts. Right here, it says TNS, which is time and sales, which represent basically a part of the order book, which are going to show you the market orders that hit each of the limit orders that we have on the level 2, and we could see the level 2 down here. But right now, I want to show you the time and sales, and with the time and sales, it's going to show us every single market order that hits the market. Now, standard, it's going to look differently, but here, let me load defaults. This is what it's going to look like standard, and it's going to hit show all sizes. So every ticket that comes through here is a market order that hits a limit order on the level 2. Right here, we only have time, price, and size. We can change it to, let's say, size, and we only want to see orders that are over 2,000 shares. Now, when we have an order for over 2,000 shares, it's obviously a big order, and that's most likely going to lift either the inside ask or the inside bid. So you could filter it out to whatever you like. Sometimes showing all sizes is going to filter too much noise in your time and sales, because you're going to have orders sometimes for 1 or 4 or 5, and it's not going to really influence the price as much as something with, let's say, 5K or 2K shares is going to show us. Another cool feature with this is that you could hit the settings button here in the top right and hit customize on the time and sales, and you can change the different columns in the time and sales. What I would recommend is adding the bid and adding the ask, and now we have this on our time and sales. We could expand this a little more, and now you can see that 2,000 shares hit the market at 377.89, and at that point that was above the ask because the ask was at 377.75. So what that's telling me is that someone market ordered very aggressively 2,000 shares way above the ask. That just shows a very aggressive order type. Same thing with the one below it. 377.67 was hit, and that's in between the bid and the ask. We unfortunately with ThinkorSwim do not know if that was a buy or sell order. We just know that it was between the bid and the ask. It was basically at the mid price, and what green and red represent on ThinkorSwim is not hitting the bid or hitting the ask. Green and red only represents an uptick. So if the last tick was at, let's say, 378.19 and the next tick is at 378.07 and it was a down tick, then it's going to come up red. So it's not hitting the bid or hitting the ask like normal other platforms do show. Now, one of the best features in my opinion on ThinkorSwim is its active trader feature. Now, what active trader is going to show you is basically the depth of the market. It's going to show you the level 2, basically the order book on a vertical axis. So on any of your chart setups, you can either remove your chart or click something that says AT on the right sidebar, and it's going to bring up the active trader. In this case, I'm just going to remove the chart and I'm going to have only the active trader up. What this is going to show us is the volume on the left. It's also going to show us the bids and the asks on the vertical axis. Now, how I use active trader is trading options. You can use this for stock trading. All you got to do is go here. It's an order execution method. If I wanted to buy 100 or 1,000 shares, load up 1,000 shares, I could either buy market, sell market, or I could put a limit order at a specific price and wait for that limit to get hit for my order to be executed. I use this with trading options. So in this case, I'm going to unlink it from number 1 and I'm going to link it to number 9. Now, when I have it linked to number 9, all I have to do is go to the trade tab for trading options. It's linked with number 1, so Apple is going to be linked with my 3 other charts. I could go to any contracts that I'm looking to play. Let's say I'm looking to play the 377.5 strike calls. I could right click it, hit copy, or I could right click it and hit send Apple to, and I could send it to the number 9 because number 9 is linked to my active trader. Now, if I wanted to buy, let's say, 50 contracts, I could load up 50. If I wanted to change the quantity, same thing. You could drop that down. Make sure it's auto send if you want it to send without a confirmation. If you need a confirmation, do not have that checked. And then I could just put a limit price that I'm comfortable paying for the 377.5 strike calls. Now I'm going to go in on demand and see if this is going to work. On demand is another great feature. Good feature for you to go back, test different strategies. If you want to test different option strategies, whatever it may be, you want to test different trading strategies. You want to test the active trader, see how it works. You want to test something with the time and sales. You can go back on demand to any time, any day, any even second, minute, whatever, and go back, set it to that time, and relive that moment. Trade whatever stock you want to trade whatever option you want to trade, and get different data to test different little things depending on your strategy and depending on what you want to test to see if it works out or not. So active trader, let's say I want to buy, 5 contracts. We have our active trader here. I could hit 5, and now look, I'm filled. Now my profit and loss is going to show on the right. Now I have 5 contracts because you could see it by net position up here. It says 5, and if I wanted to sell, let's say I wanted to sell right here, I'm out. So it's for an order execution. It's fast executions, very visible to see instead of if you're trading options, to go back to the tab, go back and forth between your charts. This is just faster, and doesn't take you too much time to enter and exit your positions. Now, since we're talking about options on ThinkorSwim, for you to see the options chain, you have to go to the trade tab, and it's going to bring you up every options chain for every expiration and for every strike price that what you want to look at. In this case, the number 3 in parentheses is the days until the last trading day, which essentially is how many days until those contracts expire. In this case, with day trading, we want to use the weekly contracts or maybe even next week's contracts. You could expand those columns, and now it's going to bring up strikes for those expirations. If you want to make it maybe more strikes, all you got to do is type in the amount that you're looking for, but in this case, it's going to be 14. And then the standard layout that ThinkorSwim gives you is the last changed price and the net change of the option contracts. In my opinion, the net change is not very important. It just tells you how much they are up since where they opened or where they closed. And then the last price is pretty much the last price you traded at, which is somewhat important. But in my opinion, volume and open interest layout is what you should have on. This tells you the contracts that are liquid. You want to make sure that you're only trading contracts that have decent liquidity. The spreads are going to be tight, and it's going to be easy for you to get in and out of a trade. Now, you could hit customize, and you could add any column you want to this. Now, I think also you should have delta included in this, because delta, you don't want to play too far out of the money where your deltas are very low. You want to focus on deltas of at least 0.30 and higher. For every dollar that the stock moves, you want the premiums to go up by at least 30 cents or greater. So I think delta, open interest, and volume are very important. And like I said, you could go to customize and add any other columns or layouts that you would like. Now, also on ThinkorSwim, which is pretty cool, is that it'll tell you the option statistics. It'll tell you how much, since we're looking at Apple, how much calls were traded today, how much puts were traded today, how much were at the bid or below, ask or above, and it'll just tell you different statistics, which are very good in analyzing the underlying stock. Because options basically will tell you different things that the stock might not tell you. If you see somebody buying unusual options for maybe today's expiration for a strike price way higher, that's a little red flag that's telling you that maybe somebody knows something that you might not know. And then also you could go to options time and sales, which will basically tell you the time and sales on the options. So let me scroll down here, and you could filter this out. So we're looking at Apple in this case only, and you could filter out if you want to look at calls or puts, strike prices. But in this case, you want to look for maybe higher quantity contracts, let's say 500 contracts in this case. And let's say it was a day of expiration, you can make it for today's expiration only. And then you could look at if someone's buying an unusual quantity for today's expiration, and like I said, they might know something that you might not know. And as you guys can see, 3 contracts came in today. 1 call, 2 different puts for over 500 contracts, and for current week's expiration. Now, also what's good with ThinkorSwim is that it'll give you an estimate and an approximate of the premiums at a specific price. So let's say we wanted to get in Apple 377.5 strike calls at 366 or 365, but we don't know where our position is going to be and where the premium is going to be when the stock is at a specific price. If I move the limit price, watch what happens down here. It'll move the expected price of Apple. So when the premiums are at $3, expected price of Apple is going to be at $375.12, which is about $1.50 away from where we are trading at currently. So this will give you a good estimate of where the premiums are going to be by only moving the limit orders. You're not sending any order in, you're just moving the limit order, and it's going to tell you an expected, it's an estimated price. Not exact, just an estimated price. The last thing I want to go over with options is that if you have an order, you can do something called a conditional order. So you right click near your order entry, and there's a little settings button down here to the right. You right click it, and now you could have an order rules. Now this will only trigger your order after a condition is met. So let's say we want to have Apple that goes above, 380. So we only want this to trigger when Apple goes above 380. We can put a limit or maybe a market to buy when Apple goes above 380. It only will condition our order when Apple buy 10 apples at the current market price if it goes above 380. You can make it below. You can either do a limit, a stop loss. So it's just a conditional order that's going to be a working order until that condition is met. Now the rest of these tips all have to do with the settings button on the top of the chart. So click on any of the settings buttons, and the first one is to synchronize the crosshair positions. If the synchronized crosshair positions is selected, your crosshair is going to be identical compared to all of your charts, and wherever you move on the time axis is going to be the same crosshair on a different chart. For example, if we want to see Apple, where Apple is at 1015 in relation to the S&P 500, which is the chart above it, you're going to be able to see, was Apple at the high when the S&P 500 was still climbing. So you're going to be able to see different things if your crosshairs are synchronized across all platforms. Now another one, because I chart supply and demand without pre-market data on and off. So if I'm looking at a stock, let me just maximize this really fast. If I'm looking at a stock and I don't want pre-market on, I'm going to click show extended hours off, and you want to make sure you start the aggregation at market open. Now what's cool is when any of these studies, there's a little arrow to the right of it. If you click that arrow, it's going to move it up into style, and now you have a checkbox here, and you could select it, not select it very fast without it going into the settings. Another study I want to show you is you go to quick study, you go to compare with, and now you can compare whatever stock you're looking at, and the purple line in the background is going to show I have it compared with the S&P 500. So, if the S&P 500 is climbing while Apple in this case is declining, that's showing that this stock has relative weakness. This is a good study to overlay in the background. This day before, the S&P 500 was very sideways trading, and Apple was climbing, making highs. So this is a good study to overlay on the back of your chart. Another study is the My Tools box. If you click it on each chart, you hit apply, and I go back to all of my charts. If I slide up near the data box, it's going to bring me whatever I select. I could customize this and add different studies. I could add different drawing tools, and I could have it all up here. For example, if I want to have the rectangle, I could hit the rectangle, and now I have the rectangle selected. Go up here. If I want to have a price level, I have price level selected. If I wanted to have VWAP on my chart, boom, that's going to put VWAP on all of my charts. Last feature I want to talk about is the Analyze tab or Market Watch tab. If you go to Visualize, you're going to get a nice heat map compared to all of the sectors. You go to Indices, you could look at the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and you're going to be able to see the heat map of what stocks are maybe stronger compared to other sectors, or which stocks are going to be weaker compared to other sectors. And then the last little cool gadget or cool trick is you could play games on ThinkorSwim. So you go over here, switch gadget, and you go to Tetris, and now you could play Tetris when you're bored, when the market is trading sideways. You're going to be able to play Tetris. Even I think they have they have Minesweeper too. So you're going to be able to play different games if you're bored when the market's choppy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like, subscribe to my channel, and also follow my Instagram.